Chapter 4, The Rising of Atlantis. Let us now discuss the lost city of Atlantis. Because earlier in the text we have talked a little bit about Antillean children without going into much explanation of what Antillean children and the resurfacing of Atlantis have to do with the energies of now. The lost city of Atlantis is a city that will be renewed. This is a city and a civilization. Moreover, it was a vibrational frequency put into an emotion by intelligent life forces from another dimension. What I suggest to your mind is that the lost city of Atlantis will be given rise again. I mean this very literally in the sense that the life energies that exist above the ground can also coexist underground or in the water, as in this case. Let me say this again. That as human beings, the thoughts you create, the lives you have been living, the communities, and the consciousness in which you know are also being paralleled under the water. Said another way, your world consciousness is also shifting under the great oceans of your world. There are magnificent tunnels that have been created by intelligent life forces that have yet to be discovered. They will be discovered in the next decade. If your mind can imagine space colonies, then I trust your magnificent minds can imagine oceanographic colonies, systems of civilizations, if you will. If I went on to tell you the pyramids in Egypt, particularly those found in Giza, the Giza Plateau, are markers for an opening directly underground for one of these underground water tunnels, would your mind be able to accept this as truth? The area of Giza is not the only area in your global world that is seen by us as a marker for these underground tunnels. As you try to understand what I am communicating, the tunnels are representations for civilizations. They are not merely tunnels as tunnels are. Clearly, many of you know that your world was once completely covered in water. It is to these consciousnesses which I am speaking. The lost civilization of Atlantis will be recognized as a global discovery of mind-blowing proportions. Who and how will the continent be discovered? Who and how? As incredulous as this may sound, as a result of the great shift of spiritual consciousness, there's going to be a huge tidal wave which rises up out of the ocean, exposing this lost civilization. For many people living fear-based lives, your mind have already leapt to the conclusion that this will all be a horrific tragedy with thousands of lives lost. For those more trusting and awakened, it will be merely seen as an extension of the new world, the golden age. If any of you who have seen those cartoons in any language where heroic feats are performed by those of super strength, this is sort of how you can imagine the event that I am trying to describe. That is an opening up of one of the largest tectonic plates in the southern hemisphere to expose an advanced civilization. Since this is tied into the Earth's development and transformation, this should be viewed as another time of great celebration. It may take 15 years for everyone or the majority of souls on Earth to become aware of this event, approximately, for there will be those in power who will try to hide it, just as they have hidden many things from mankind's eyes for centuries. With the awakening, many untruths will be exposed. If I told you that many governments are already aware of underground colonization and are hiding it from mankind, what would you say? This is divine truth. If I went on to repeat that many foreign governments continue to hide information about higher intelligent life forms, would this also surprise you? And that the decade beyond will be a time when fear will no longer have a place to hang its hat. Lies and corruption will not have a leg to stand upon. The more frequent and prolific this information will be revealed to me, the further you get into the decade after 2012. This is a very good and wise thing. Repeating, the city of Atlantis will be rising again. Your collective minds may wonder, why is this happening? Why should I care? How will this affect me? How will this affect my children and my children's children? I'm afraid. I say to each and every one of you who may be thinking these thoughts to breathe, release, and affirm. I am in the holiest of places with my thinking. I know that my world is kind and loving. I trust what the angel has prophesied will better my world in some ways. Just as there has been an unseen spiritual battle since before your world was created, there have also been unseen battles amidst the ocean floor. The rising or the resurrection of the city of Atlantis will signify an end to this battle, with love and kindness being victorious. I mentioned one marker being the area of Giza. I would like to mention some others for your understanding. But before I go on to do that, let me add that for most of you, the information just shared, the lost civilization of Atlantis, will merely be a curiosity. Another marker to the oceanographic world is in eastern Pakistan. There is also a marker in southwestern Brazil and a marker in Bogota, Colombia. There is also a marker near Beijing, China, and one near the province of Alberta, Canada. These were the major portal points when higher intelligence came to your dimension to develop the underground civilizations, which are the tangible evidence of consciousness. Therefore, when I say they established civilizations, they were establishing higher vibrational consciousnesses. There is great unity in the divinity of this wisdom between the galaxies and the cosmos. So if 20 years from now you run across some information that a new continent has been discovered, do not say I didn't tell you so. This discussion naturally leads into a bit more detailed expose or examination of higher life forms. Therefore, in the immediate years following thereafter, more and more information will be revealed about these life forms. For those who wish to learn a bit more about this, I will say that there are some nefarious interdimensional life forms that will continue to try and play havoc with you in your world's transition from the fourth dimension to the fifth. These efforts will largely be unsuccessful. Question. Professor Stephen Hawking, a theoretical physicist from Great Britain, contests Sir Isaac Newton's belief that the universe must have been designed by God. He believes that the universe can and will create itself from nothing. He wrote, that is why the universe exists, why we exist. What is your divine wisdom as it relates to creation? Michael's response. I honor all wisdom from your world. It has come to my attention that some, like Professor Hawking, have this thought, that the universe is totally and fully capable of creating itself. I will acknowledge wisdom within this concept. Perhaps my interpretation of the Big Bang Theory will shed some light on the concept. I say to each of you without hesitation or delay that your world and all of the planets in the solar system and solar systems have an intelligence, a divine intelligence. What does Mr. Hawking think enables him to think these thoughts? His liver? I mean this in all seriousness. I invite challenge thinking. It is every bit as important in evolution, challenge thinking, as the Darwinian theory of evolution. Do planets, galaxies, and alternate planes of reality have the ability to create oneself? Yes, of course. Was there an intelligent force that brought rise the need for the universe to create? Yes. This is where this soul made, to my thinking, a misstep of analytical thinking. It is more important, I feel, when talking and educating about creation, the cosmos, the infinite wisdom in all things, that we look at the diversity in creation, not further divide humanity into arguing, fighting, quarreling over this concept. As long as there has been oxygen to breathe, there has been an intelligence that created oxygen to breathe in your world, hydrogen in other worlds, and a combination of hydromagnetic fields which can support life. I suppose it could be said that the real aspect of this discussion is who is God. So I will say unto you, ask yourselves, who is God? Is it yourself? Is there not God in every plant and living thing, from the single-celled nuclei to the omnipotent of all 36 and more dimensions of which I am aware? Is it Dharma? Is it Kundalini? Is it Sumatric philosophy? Is God a man, a woman, omnipotent? What about Mother Earth? Is she not God? This is where clarity can be imparted more universally. So I will take this opportunity to say that it makes no difference to those of us in this fifth dimension what each of you believes to be God, or how you define infinite mind, Mother Earth, Shiva, Krishna, the stars, your spark. What is more important to your soul growth is that you honor something, that you honor all that is living, including the infinite universes, both parallel and curvilinear. Those souls who have had implants and attachments will be freed from them. Implants will also be possible to affect future generations forevermore, since their DNA has been altered. Implants will not be possible, said another way. This should be seen as news for great celebration. Many of you are already aware throughout time your world has been visited by spaceships, spacecraft, and unidentified flying objects. Sometimes during these encounters, the visits were from nefarious beings with the intention of sabotaging your Earth's development by taking human specimens against their will and implanting them with altered strands of DNA. With the arrival of 2012, this will no longer be possible. Praise God in the infinite mind. I will pause here for your reflection. Allow me to state that my intention here is not to confuse anyone, but to offer love, clarity, and hope. I can hear many blaspheming me already, questioning my sanity, my divinity. In some minds, I have stated that to their way of thinking, how can there be a God if this goes on? So I say to those of you who may be blaspheming me right now, that my love goes out to you tenfold. That I say to you that God is a man and woman combined. The God mind, the infinite mind intelligence, which created multi-realities and multi-dimensions, did so unaided. My intent in this offering is not to become a theologian and defend theology, but rather open up hearts and minds to greater things to come. It is such a blessing that very soon negative implants will no longer be able to take hold. Do you know how many souls throughout mankind's history have suffered from the effects of otherworldly implants? The number would stagger you. When a soul has been implanted, they cannot live lives filled with peace and happiness, joy and laughter. How great this news is to think that thousands and thousands of souls who have been denied this ability will once again obtain it. We were not finished with our discussion of Atlantis, and it has also been brought to my attention that many souls are asking for guidance about the Sirians. Therefore, I will be happy to continue speaking of Atlantis and introducing knowledge of the Sirians. The lost continent of Atlantis, to continue, is going to be heralded as a new dawn, an elixir of life. It is, however, not the only discovered ancient wisdom that will be known to your world. Those energies that are responsible for the rising of Atlantis will also be responsible for the rising of other lost civilizations, such as the Incan, the Mayan, the Egyptian, the Roman, the Ottoman, or Turkish. You may be asking yourselves, well, there are other lost empires, Angel. Why don't you mention these? And I say to you, perhaps one day I will. But for now, as it is structured, the best parts of these civilizations, these empires, will be coming to the surface of human awareness. Notice that I said the best parts. This is where you might say that the Mayan prophecies tie in as a thread. The truth, which has been written, is that the Mayan calendar prophesies this reawakening, to which I will agree. Across the world from the Great Barrier Reef and the lost continent of Atlantis, which will be renamed Sirius, it is where the new Mayan energy will emerge. I'm not suggesting that another landmass will be forming itself in the next 100 years, but I am suggesting that there is a special set of energetic frequencies that are already in place for this to be, so that in the next 200 to 300 years, there will be a newly discovered landmass rising again from the floors off the ocean off the coast of Mexico near Costa Rica. If you can imagine the energies of a high intelligence floating over this area of the world, and you have X-ray vision, like some say I do, and some of you do, then this is what you can imagine that I am talking about. And this energy is filled with love, kindness, acceptance, non-judgment, peace, and harmony. In fact, all of the other energetic markers that I will be describing, which is the lost continent previously mentioned, will have the same characteristics. Shifting now to the essence of the Roman Empire. The word essence means the very best eternal sense of something. Essence. Look it up. Become familiar with the word essence if you desire. For example, the essence of the gardenia is the beautiful aroma. The essence of the sun is its healing warmth. So the essence of the Roman Empire is being birthed now. For your understanding, the same energy essence of the Egyptian Empire is already forming over the present-day Sahara Desert. When these three energies surface on Earth, most likely most of you will be seeing this from the kingdom of heaven, the essence of the Incan Empire will be found in the Amazonian basin. What this means, though, however, and why I feel it is useful learning about this energy forming now, is to fill you with wisdom, spiritual truth, hope, and enlightenment. We in the divine realm like to work like this. We like to facilitate cosmic, multidimensional changes in many dimensions, not just yours. And we do this in other dimensions and your dimension Earth by working in what I will call for now quadrants. So that the quadrants in which I'm trying to identify in the first primary round of ascension will be the Mayan Empire, Roman Empire, the Egyptian, Incan, and Antillean Empire. This same approach to consciousness raising, if you will, has been done in other galaxies as well. It is much easier to lift up an object if you lift it up by all four corners than if you try to hook it up from the middle. Imagine, if you will, for a moment, dear ones, that within each of these renewed civilizations, the best part of their contributions are given a new life. Imagine what this means. I will guide you. I suggest that one of the Roman essences from the Roman Empire was actually the essence of courage. I'm not saying that mankind interpreted the essence of courage properly, but I'm saying from a spiritual standpoint, that was the sole essence of this particular empire. And yes, particular empires can have soul essences just as an individual can. I suggest to you that the essence of the Incan Empire was telepathy, or telepathy. Again, not the entire empire's history demonstrated the highest essence of telepathy and communion, but nevertheless, that is the essence, the purest form of communicating between heaven and earth, was the essence of the great Incan civilization, and it is the energy which is building there again now. For your understanding, would any of you like to guess what the essence of the Mayan culture, the great Mayan Empire, was? No, it wasn't persecution. No, it wasn't barbarism. It was faith. I hear some of you having dissension with this idea, and I honor this. If you are following me, however, what I am trying to communicate is that before mankind's actions, that mankind's thoughts did not fulfill the soul essence of any of these empires. But the promise is that this next time, mankind will. The soul essence of the Egyptian Empire is resourcefulness. And lastly, the soul essence of the lost continent of Atlantis is harmony. Later, there will be a second round of other civilizations which will come to be reborn again, not to discount any souls that may have ancestors or be themselves from other regions not here mentioned. Do not confuse your worth with what I am talking about here. Neither exalt it nor diminish it. Rather, dear ones, understand that the globalness of what will be affecting future generations. The level of potential for loving one another will be at its highest peak since the dawn of creation. You might imagine it this way, that in the next several decades your entire world will be seen as one great Italian Renaissance, with every soul producing great beauty in thought, action, and deed. Sirius. As mentioned, the lost continent of Atlantis will be renamed Sirius, or shall we say be named Sirius, because it will be a new realization in a sense, not to be confused with Syria or Damascus, but Sirius is in the 8th dimension, Sirius. Sirius is in another dimension outside of your own. Sirius is a collective intelligence outside of your own. Sirius is a set of stars or a constellation already known by many. It is indeed the Syrian people or the Syrian race who will assist in giving rise to this particular energy. Some of you may already be familiar with the Syrians or the Syrian energy. They're very different from the Pleiadians and the Pleiadian energy because, simply put, they originated from another dimension. To make the mistake that they are one and the same would a bit like comparing apples to oranges. Some of you may even remember King Sirius from your studies. If you do, then I congratulate you. If you haven't, do not internalize this, because the important concept in sharing this with you is to restate differently that there are many dimensional beings from many dimensions, and your world is learning more and more of them. Plato knew of them, Leonardo da Vinci knew of them. Many great masters, thinkers of Eastern Indian traditions have also known of this. The difference is, however, that more of mankind will accept this as truth. I would like to shift gears a bit back to a more comprehensive discussion about good versus evil during this period and lightness overcome darkness, because this can be seen as a thread. Lightness overcoming darkness. Some in your world are asking, will there be a second coming of Christ? And I say to you, in some sense, the year will signify the time will be a dramatic rise in Christ's consciousness. But Christ is not the only Holy Master. All Holy Masters who have lived in your world have been anointed to return. It is within each of you. That is where the new awareness should lie, within yourselves. How glorious and great a divine plan is this. New holy masters offering new and more profound wisdom and healing will be born. 3 new masters will be born amongst the ones your world already knows. The other major distinctions in this wisdom is that the masters will not represent earthly religion any longer. The masters will be seen as spiritual masters. They will no longer have a chain or a link attached to a particular sect. Hallelujah, Shalom, Namaste. Your entire planet is evolving to the point so that everyone on it is a master, a spiritual master. During this process, there are going to be some interruptions in the flow, darkness you might say, because at any time in any galaxy when the power of ascension increases, so does the attempt of darkness to increase. The key word to focus on here is attempt. Thinking of it this way, if you are outside on a sunny day and you could lift yourself off in a backpack rocket propelling device so you could approach the sun. The closer you got to the sun, the more blinding the light would be. If you are in the white light, you wear sunglasses. Simply reach into your pocket and put them on. If you're not in the white light blinds you. You are frightened. This might even cause you some pain. So while the global ascension is going on, there will be uprisings of a dark nature. Most of these will be unseen. As I say, though my words may seem real, I am a spiritual being in a spiritual dimension or dimensions. So largely this statement relates to unseen spiritual battles. Some have come to me to ask, I have heard that the devil is coming again to earth as well, angel, to which I say this is impossible. Are there dark, unseen forces at work in your world today? Absolutely so. There are soul particles that will be forever gray, without change, without light, goodness, and salvation. We in the angelic realm are battling this every day, and we are winning. You who are spreading light and goodness are battling this also every day of your lives. Light will be victorious. This concludes part 1.